And I think I have the next guy ready as well.
Is it Cooper DeJean?
It is Cooper DeJean.
Okay.
But can you just put DB?
I will put DB. Now, this is a big board for the 49ers, Croc.
I think that what he does, like what he brings and what he can bring to a defense, what he can bring to the 49ers defense, I feel like it should be highly valued. I don't think it's just, it's just a receiver, it's just a corner. When you think of all the different things he does, and then you start to add in even the extra stuff with the special teams value, I think what he can be, I mean, you think, 22 for Minnesota Vikings in safety. And I'm not saying that because they're both white guys, but
Harrison, yeah.
Like that kind of player, right? Like with just tremendous ball skills, a knack for, being able to play and understand things and jump things with his eyes, a terrific tackler, a guy like just the impact that he's able to have. Obviously we're not saying he's top 10 worthy, but I think if you're viewing him from that perspective, this is a guy that should be highly valued for the 49ers. Now, if you're viewing him as a cornerback, then we could drop him out of the first round. I wouldn't have him in my top 32. But the 49ers say, man, I love what this Cooper DeJean brings and how I see him being able to work kind of like a Jimmy Ward that actually makes plays. I mean, picks the ball off. Jimmy Ward makes plays. Gets you the interceptions and potentially can be a big time safety. That was what you and I talked about. Okay, just you want a guy that's good. You could draft offensive linemen, Graham Barton and Sua Mataia. You have all these guys that can be good. You have a safety that can be an all-pro, like that kind of guy, that kind of impact. And I feel like for me, I value that and what it would mean to the 49ers defense that people want to see be better.
I'm looking at my list right now and realizing Troy Fautanu is not in there yet. So I'm going to write his name in there because I think he's going to make an appearance at some point very soon. Just wanted to make sure I remedied that one. So this is for the 49ers, Croc. If Cooper DeJean was drafted next Thursday to the 49ers, where does he play? Because they don't currently have that role you're drawing up for Cooper DeJean.
I think he's your starting safety. And he's your nickel on those downs. And go ahead, bring in Jair Brown and to go with whatever other safety 49ers want to plug in. Obviously, it depends on health a little bit there, but go ahead and keep our guy Lenore at cornerback. And
interesting one from Invader, DeJean would be Staley's star. Now, Staley isn't the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. It's Nick Sorensen. But Derwin James, is that how he was used in that Chargers defense?
He kind of was. Yeah, they had him do a lot of coverage stuff on tight ends, but he also was back there. I mean, I remember his rookie year, him blitzing off the edge against the 49ers. He kind of wrecked the game his rookie year. Remember the 49ers played in the game, and you had CJ Beathard at quarterback, and it was a good game. Actually, it kind of ended up being a good game, but I just remember the impact that Derwin James had. Now, I do believe that Derwin James was a top 10 prospect, and I don't think that Cooper DeJean is a top 10 prospect. But when you're starting to get around, 20th prospect, I think Cooper DeJean, as a star player, I think that's a good spot for him.
Starting free safety with Hufanga, he drops down to nickel. Jair Brown comes in at safety over the top. Yep. That's the plan. He's the Jimmy Ward. He's the Derwin James. He's the star player, and he's a starter every down player in that role. So essentially, we're talking about a safety nickel as the 20th overall player in this draft.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now Fautanu, I think, and I see some people in the chat. Oh, it's way too far back. We could probably plug him in. We can plug him in right now.
I mean, he's not a perfect prospect. We could put him in. We could drop down these two DBs, Croc, and we could put him here, and we could put Troy Fautanu in ahead of him.
Yep, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, I think that's the right spot. Right after Right after, there we go. Fuaga. So we got Fuaga, Fautanu back to back, then Wiggins, then DeJean.
I like it.
I would argue Croc next for Johnny Newton, defensive tackle out of Illinois.
I thought you were going to go Chop Robinson there.
I like Chop. Chop's coming up soon for me. Do you like Chop better than Johnny Newton? I think if you dare to dream what they could be, Chop could be better. Johnny Newton right now is a better pass rusher. And I think the 49ers have less invested in tackle long-term than they do edge after this offseason and what they've done. I feel like they're gearing up more for tackle. Now, it shouldn't matter. You want to take the best player here. I think Mims is a scary player, but if he hits, he deserves to be in this area.
Mims isn't scary. Again, we're talking about for the 49ers. The inexperience and injury history scares me a bit. Bigger body, how does that fit with what the 49ers had traditionally gone with?
And so there was a stat I saw because he started 8 games in his career. And of those 8 games, he didn't play the full game in some of them. So he's played like 6 full games. And then he's only had, I think the number is 104, what they call true pass sets. 104 true pass sets in his college career where his quarterback actually dropped back like a normal passer and he had to pass protect like a normal offensive tackle. That is not much to go on. But he was surprisingly not that raw looking in those reps that he was, which is, and he's a freak of nature. You can't find these guys. Like, go to Target right now. Tell me how many guys you see that are 6'6" plus that can move someone like an offensive tackle in the NFL can, right? You go to Target, you might see someone that's shaped like a corner. You might see someone that's shaped like Nate Wiggins, right? But you just don't see guys that are shaped like Amarius Mims that can move at the level you need to. They're rare. They don't exist. So, but that being said, there's a lot of boomer bust there. I think I'd wait on him. I think the next 2 though, Croc, are Johnny Newton and Chop, and I'd probably put them in that order. I think Croc's dog is going crazy here. Oh, here we go. Jesse's in the chat. Last Second Sports, check it out. Please sell me on Chop because I do not see it at all, especially at 31, athletic and so inconsistent in my opinion. The thing I like about Chop is, first of all, the get off, and that's the Chris Kocurek thing. He's going to love that. I think he shows traits, and this is kind of the Dallas Turner thing that I talked about a little bit earlier as well. Chop shows ridiculous traits that you just can't find in some of these other rushers with how he gets off the line and the pressure he can put on an offensive tackle. He's shown an ability to get around the corner. These, I don't know what they're doing at Penn State. They have Micah Parsons. He's playing off-ball linebacker. They had Jason Owe. He had 0 sacks and went late first round to the Ravens a few years ago. He's developed into a better player in the NFL than he was a pass rusher. Like, Penn State just doesn't care about sacks, doesn't care about pass rush. They're like, play the run on the way to the quarterback. And these offenses, this is why I like NFL football more than college football. I can't stand watching college football because of these spread offenses. And there's reps where Chop Robinson insta-sack beats his guy round the corner, gets to the quarterback as fast as you can humanly possibly get to the quarterback. He's got the ball out because they're just throwing screen passes all day long. And
do you think it's a little Josh? Excuse me. Do you think it's a little Josh Allen-ish?
Chop?
Yeah, because I'm looking at my scouting report.
Yeah,
and it's not like wants to win with speed, more so than any type of like hand technique. Isn't an edge setter. He can win with immediate quickness in the run game. Did have a nice bull rush versus Ohio State left tackle. Is consistent. If he doesn't win with speed versus the run, he struggles to have any power to blow a play up. Gets moved wherever the offensive lineman wants to take him. And then I said, if you want to like him, watch the Michigan film because he just destroyed that tackle like really all game. So it's like, if you want to think of what the potential high end of him is, and you want to value him here at, let's say, 22, like, go watch the Michigan film. But it felt like there was a little bit more inconsistency with what he potentially is versus run. And maybe that's just me, watching the 49ers and like, oh man, you're getting blown up in the run game, on the pin and pulls and all these different things. I feel like that's where the 49ers, that's why I think I'm higher on like Darius Robinson. I mean, we've had this discussion though. I'm higher on Darius than Chop.
And if you want someone to set the edge, Darius Robinson's your guy in this draft, but he just doesn't have the juice that Chop Robinson has. And I like Darius Robinson a lot. And I think I'd probably just put him right here after that. But
real quick, the unfair part that I just said, little Josh Allen still had like 17 sacks.
And Josh Allen went top 10.
Right.
So Chop is up to the challenge as a run defender, which I like. He's not a finesse player. I like the way he plays. I like the way he's just not that big. He's 254 pounds. And, so big players are going to envelop him. But he's a dynamic athlete. I like the way he shoots gaps. I like the way he washes down the line of scrimmage and wrecks plays. And I think there's a lot of times when I was watching Chop's film where he's affecting the play. He would have had NFL sacks that weren't college sacks because, like I mentioned, they're throwing screens, getting the ball out in 1 second. I think it's the way they coach their D-line, play the run on the way to the quarterback as well at Penn State. And he's affecting plays and wrecking some plays where, maybe he doesn't get the tackle behind the line. Maybe he doesn't get the sack, but he's putting some pressure on the quarterback. He's winning in his pass rush rep. That's what I saw. And I'm daring to dream with Chop Robinson, what he could be, D Ford sort of a role for the 49ers. I think he'd absolutely be that. And also a thing that Darius Robinson does not have that Chop has is the ability to run down fast quarterbacks and keep them from getting out of the pocket. So on one hand, Darius Robinson's much better at setting the edge and more powerful. But if an athletic quarterback's trying to get out of there, Darius Robinson's not going to be able to chase him down to the sideline. He's going to get the corner and go. Chop Robinson can chase that guy down.
I think if I'm the 49ers, I need to go with what I feel like is going to translate, and I can have a clear vision of how exactly this fits in my defense and is going to be consistent. And you got to also remember, everybody that's listening right now, when you start to get to the 22nd prospect, most of these teams don't have 32 first-round grades on guys.
This is the area. Like 20-ish is usually kind of the average. Which, to be honest with you, we'll go on a tangent here really quick. And I promise we'll get through these and we'll have this ranked out. We only have 10 more to go before we get to 31, by the way. We know every year there's going to be 32 first-round picks, right? So I think we should be able to, as a society, normalize what a first-round pick is to mean the top 32 players most years. It's always bothered me a little bit. But people are like, there's only 20 first-round grades every year. Well, it's like, well, that's not a first-round grade then. Because we know there's 32 picks. We know next year there's going to be 32 picks. So a first-round grade should be normalized for 32 picks. You know what I mean? So that's always kind of frustrating. I understand the concept of the quote-unquote first-round grades, and there's always like 20 or so of those guys. And our guy Dane,
how they get their grades, that's the question. They get the grades based off of the film. They get like a number value on things that they do, and then that gives them like, oh, okay, this is a first round guy, and then that's how they make their board.
But it should be like, oh man, there's only 27 first round grades this year. This is not a good draft. Oh, there's 40 first round grades. This is a great draft. That would make more sense for what a first round grade is, because we know how long the first round is. I think we should just rename it to something else and not call it a first round grade. Because when I say first round, I usually break it up into parts. So when I'm talking about Darius Robinson, I was like, late first round grade. He might not be in a team's top 20 and be quote unquote first round grade for what teams are talking about when they say first round grade. But for me, it's a first round grade because there's 32 stinking picks in the first round, and he should be one of them. That's it.
That's it.
So in a row right now for me, is probably Johnny Newton, Chop Robinson, Darius Robinson.
In a row right now for me would be Darius Robinson, Johnny Newton, Chop Robinson.
Okay, but we're in the same neighborhood with those guys.
Yeah.
What about Graham Barton? Is he there for you yet?
A little bit lower because I'm looking at Barton. I'm looking at Xavier Worthy. I'm looking at Morgan. I'm looking at A.D. Mitchell on the field, not taking into account the stuff off the field.
I'm gonna get Jackson Powers Johnson out of here and put him up here higher so we can see him because he's I don't want to lose him down at the bottom. He deserves to be going up here at some point pretty quick. And I could buy the argument Jackson Powers Johnson belongs in this neighborhood as well. All right, so I've taken the advice of my assistant GM on some picks, and this time I'm going to override him since I am the GM. And it's Johnny Newton 22, Chop 23, Darius Robinson 24.
I have no issues with that.